Hello and welcome to Err is Human and to Profit Divine. I am Julie Manz, and I am so happy to have this opportunity to talk to you for a little while about the psychology that I think is really important as you go forward, no matter what your strategy, no matter what market you're trading. I just love the opportunity to talk to you about why psychology is probably the most important part of your trading. Adrian and I are here at Miami Beach. I'm showing you a live shot of the ocean from our room. We host semi-annual, or I guess it's biannual, however that works. Twice a year we have a boot camp for just about 20 folks to really deep dive into our mastermind program. And I thought, what a nice place to come to you and talk to you about this subject, because part of it has to do with getting your brain and body and mind all aligned, and we're going to talk about that. But when you look out at the beach, I thought this might be a great way to start off our presentation and get the ball rolling in a nice, calm, soothing way. When I say Adrian and I, this is he and I here at the Stock Exchange and CBOE, I think. A little about us, if you don't know us, that we have been trading since 1997. We started right out of graduate school, and we really started right from the start of online trading. And very soon after started teaching, Adrian was paired up with a mentee, if you will, from one of the very first conferences we were at, and we have never looked back. We really enjoy working with folks, and over the course of the last 20 years, Adrian has had these core strategies that have really developed over time, but not changed in their fundamental approach to the market. And though we're not here to talk about strategy today, I will say that there are some, what we do at TradeOutLoud is education. As PhDs, that's what you are taught to do, and we actually really enjoy teaching. We also have a mastermind membership program for the last 10 years, and have students we work with over the course of 12 months. And that's what we're here to do. The next couple days, we're going to be here with them in this beautiful environment. We're really looking forward to live trading and a lot of education as well. Adrian has been published in many books. This is just a sampling and magazines for his strategies over time. And of course has written books about his strategies. Really, also because we're PhDs, that's something you're told and taught how to do, is to publish. But also because people would ask him all the time, well, you have this plan, what are you doing? Why are you doing? How do you do it? So he wrote these books, and I always give him a hard time that it's very thin on plot. They're very technical and they're great, but I show you this because I'm going to lead you into what I think you're also going to need to do to be an elite performer and get your psychology in order when you're trading whatever strategy you're trading. So these are the main strategies that we trade every day. They have developed over time. The one on the very right is the around the horn plan that has been around. It's an intraday stock exchange, New York Stock Exchange intraday swing plan. And then we also have a plan of volatility bands that takes care or addresses the things on the NASDAQ with the fast-moving big players like Tesla and Apple and Baba or Microsoft, things that people really are excited and interested in playing, and we have a good way and approach for that too. So along with those, of course, there are courses. There's a mastery courses. We do a deep dive, again, because we're educators. We love to do education on all these things and get down into the nitty-gritty. But what I will say, whatever strategy you think works for you and aligns with your psychology, I encourage you to go through and write it down as if it were a course, because it's not till you really get down into figuring out your why and the rules and how it can be executed and under what conditions it should be executed, then do you realize, oh my gosh, what about it when this happens, or what about it when that happens? So it's always helpful for us when we develop the courses, because it gets us even more clear on why and how and when that you're going to want to do your strategy. So here's what our workflow looks like in the mornings. We have a pre-market with the New York Stock Exchange trades that are going to be more intraday. We are those lend themselves to automation. So you can set those up, and that's a more set it and forget it, and keep your fingers off those trades. And then there's an opening bell trade that's a little more advanced, and that's with the NASDAQ volatility bands. There's a 2SD opening gap trade that we really like, and that's best around earnings seasons, but it has really good opportunities at other times as well. And then after the first hour or so, then what we're doing is looking at a couple other things, looking at the trades we've automated, as well as Adrian's working on some new fun things with the NASDAQ, or with the Qs and futures. So we'll see. We're not ready to really unveil that yet, but that's kind of fun and coming up. Let me tell you about our mastermind members. These are the folks that are here now in Miami, and we look forward to working with them over the next couple of days. It's going to be a great time. This program is for adult learners, right? So we only use relevant material, make sure everybody's actively involved, that you receive feedback, get real world benefits, practice the material. Those are all tenets of adult learning, people who, post-college. Those are the things that a program needs, and it used to be just a one-time event, and what we realized is it really needs to be over the course of a year. So there's a lot of support and mentoring, and every boot camp that you've ever come to, you can go to the next one, all the rest of them as part of this education. So that's been great. Okay, so everyone at these places, though, the reason I want to show you this is that everyone around these tables, they have their own psychology. So everyone comes to this with their own psychology, and we have a lot of experience working with people from vastly different professional backgrounds. There's lawyers and doctors, there's business owners from waste management to construction, and we've had a rancher, a farmer. I mean, all these people are interested and passionate about trading, and that's what brings them together, but they all come with their own psychology. And I think part of that might fall into things you could recognize if you wanted to. This is common challenges that people face, and I wonder if perhaps you've faced some of these too, like failing to pull the trigger on a good setup, or letting a losing trade run, taking unplanned trades, or thinking you see something and diving in with that. A lot of our guys, morning profits and afternoon losses has been something that's difficult for them. So for those folks, doing only the morning trades was really an eye-opener and something that worked for them and their psychology. Cutting winning trades short, that's something that I think all of us have done. It feels really good to take the profit, and it's hard sometimes for folks to take the losses. So what ends up happening is the losses get bigger, right, and the wins get smaller. And let's talk about that. So why is psychologically challenging? Why do we do these things in psychology? Well, when I was reflecting on this, I found three sort of major things. There's probably more, but I want to give you ideas in this presentation. I'm not going to solve anybody's challenges in this format, but what I would like to do is present to all of you some sort of curated ideas about how you can start looking at your psychology and getting everything in line to be more of a elite performer or an elite athlete, right? So why is it challenging? Well, these are a couple things that I have thought about. One thing is trading is about capitalizing on opportunity. And opportunity is notoriously difficult because it involves a choice. And every choice involves either disappointment or regret. Did I make the right choice? And even before you make the choice, sometimes that can be anxiety provoking, that no matter what, I'm going to have to make a decision, and that's going to get me either a win or a loss, and I'm either going to be disappointed or regret, and I'll talk about that in a second. Trading is also about working smart, not only hard. You do have to work hard when you're trading, and I always recommend that people understand that there is a lot of work involved. This isn't going to be I just sit at the computer and don't understand. There's education and that kind of thing involved, as well as going over charts, understanding, what the market's like, understanding what it is you're trading, how your software works. But it's not just about that. It's also about only trading perhaps when market conditions are right for your strategy. So there's a smart piece to it that isn't as easy as just getting up and showing up every day. Sometimes you really have to discern when is the best time to put yourself out there. And also, it probably isn't like anything else you've done before. My guess is for almost 99% of people, if you weren't a professional trader or in the pit, you've never done anything like this before. And just like anything else, you can't assume that you're going to be able to be good at this right away, right? I mean, it took me however many years, more than I want, for me to complete the PhD and learn how to do the social science things. But I shared with another group that I also have a design degree, and I remember when I was going through that and I'd finished my PhD, and you think you know it all then, and I said they gave you some instruction on how to measure a room, and I thought, I know how to measure a room, and of course I didn't. Because there's a professional way to do that. There are norms for any profession, and it was very arrogant of me to think that. And I really implore all of you not to be arrogant enough to think, oh, I'm a great doctor, or I'm very successful as an accountant, or I own my own businesses. So I'm going to do this, and it's going to take me 2 weeks to learn. Someone's going to give me a strategy, and I'm going to be able to execute that flawlessly over the course of a couple weeks or a month. And that's probably most of you have found out not at all possible. I feel badly because I feel like there are a lot of folks out there that won't give it to you straight, but the truth is it's going to take some time to feel out the different areas, because there are a whole lot of areas that come along with trading. It's also difficult, I think, because I love this quote. It's attributed to Heraclitus. You cannot step into the same river twice, because you are not the same person and it's not the same river. So while you have been changed by your experiences, well, obviously in life, but in trading, also the market's different, the timing's different, the stock is different, the liquidity is different, it's not something where you can approach it every day and it doesn't change slowly, it changes fairly quickly. I talked to you about choice and disappointment, choice with disappointment or regret. And the important idea I want to give to you there is, if it doesn't go your way, it could either be disappointment or regret. And it's better if it's regret. So with disappointment, if you're focusing on the outcome and not the future. You're disappointed, it didn't go your way, you're disappointed in yourself, and it leads to this downward spiral of negativity, and there is no upside. If your focus is on regret, then you're looking at your personal choices, and those can be modified next time. I entered the trade too early. I didn't take it off when I should have. I traded on FOMC day. All the things that you think you could do differently in the future, you really can do differently in the future. So the upside is you can learn from regrets, and disappointments are not something that are going to help you. And just sort of keep that in mind as the next time you have a outcome that you didn't want, and just sort of notice, am I disappointed in this? Or am I regretting this and thinking about how I could do it differently in the future? Okay, my whole last several years as I've focused on psychology has to do with this aligning to optimize your outcomes. And what I realize when I talk to folks and look at our own situation is everything is always better if your environment is aligned with your body, your brain, and your mind, because you want to be set up for success. We need to get everybody centered. Okay, so obviously the brain and the body, that makes sense. What is the mind? So when I'm talking about the mind, and the concept of the mind is that it's everything you think, so it's cognitive aspects, so your consciousness, your perception, intelligence, judgment, and then it's also everything you feel. So that includes things like instincts and emotions. All right, why is it important to get all these things aligned? it's important because the next idea I want to give to you is you have built-in barriers. Some of them are learned and some of them are hardwired. And just even recognizing that they exist makes life a lot easier. So let's look at the cognitive filters. So these are things that are part of the things you're thinking. These include cognitive distortions and things that are obstacles to your focused attention. Trading involves a lot of focus when you're actually pulling the trigger. And then there's hardwired things. There's your fight, flight, or freeze. And then there's the way we make decisions, whether it's consciously or unconsciously. So let's think a little bit about the board of directors in your head. These are your cognitive barriers. These are the things that a lot of people find, and even just noting if you have that can help you identify and challenge your thinking. One of my favorite things to say to people is, just because you think it, it doesn't make it true. And all of these are pretty common ones that go along with the things people think, black or white. It's either it's good or bad, or a perfectionist, it has to be perfect or it's not good, or a negative thinker. And we are hardwired to think negatively, and that's challenging. People who always need to be right, obviously that's not going to go well with trading. And there are different assessments you can do to try and figure out where you fall in here and which of these things might be challenging for you, and those are fun. We're not going to do those today, but I am getting a program together where we're going to do all kinds of exercises over the course of 6 weeks to try and get ourselves, understand where we are personally and get ourselves, aligned and set up for success. So let me talk a second about focused attention. I mentioned that obviously you have to be focused in order to trade, and some of us, there's a continuum where I know people who can have a laser focus and they never deviate when they're on track of their studies or what project they're working on, and then all the way to the other spectrum where people can't barely sit down when they're in a trade or doing anything, right? They're hopping around. So you'll know you have good focusing abilities if overall you find yourself motivated to stay on tasks, even the ones you're not interested in. When you set a goal to complete it, nothing can stop you. You're just going to follow through with your goal. It's good for you to aid yourself with short breaks, and that's always helpful. And then also to plan the task beforehand. And you might need to work on your focus skills if you lose track of where your work is, if you have these irrelevant thoughts in the middle of doing what you're trying to focus on, or if, of course, you're checking your phone or distracted by the people around you. So that's another idea I just want to put out there is consider how much attention you have, especially when you're choosing different strategies. If you realize you have a tendency in attention one way or the other, and there are ways to work, of course, on your focused attention, but just as you go into this endeavor, I just want you to realize, oh, that might be something that impacts whether or not I am going to be successful, and maybe the strategy that you choose. Briefly, we're just going to talk about fight, flight, or freeze. A lot of times people forget freeze, but we actually know traders who have a kill switch because they didn't know that that's what they were going to do. They didn't know when they had to get out of trades and it was going very difficultly or really sliding fast that they just froze. So now he has a kill switch, this friend and client that I'm thinking of, but he also is a brilliant software engineer. I mean, this is not something that he ever would have thought would have stymied him. So anyway, consider that freeze might be something you do too instead of just fight or flight. We also know people who in the fight category do revenge trading. And then, of course, people who just don't trade at all. But why is this? This is a inherent hardwired defense, because as we developed as humans, it's much better to mistake a rock for a lion than than the other way around. So if you're looking out of the savannah and you think you see a lion and it's only a rock, great, but you don't want it to be the other way. So we have this negativity bias built into us, and that's another thing in trading that again, I just want you to think about yourself and how you respond to challenging or stressful situations. And the other sort of hardwired thing that is difficult is we go about our day mostly on autopilot. And I like this graphic on the left here because it shows that you have to actually disengage the autopilot. If you had to think consciously about everything you do in a day, from eating to fixing, toast in the morning or whatever, to driving to work or common tasks, we are always on autopilot, and that's part of our brain's natural mode. It's difficult when you're trying to trade. And all this research that I'm reading that's going into this new coaching course that I'm doing, all of it has said that we only have about 45 minutes of focused attention, and that was from about 10 years ago. And then new research has come out and is talking about maybe we only have 5 minutes of focused attention, which is very scary. But to understand that we might need to create in this, in aligning your environment, body, brain, and mind, the environment might have to help you out here. You might have to have a very calm, soothing, quiet environment to keep you focused on your trades, if that tends to be something that is challenging. Okay, so how are we going to get you to think like an elite performer? I did a lot of looking into what the psychology is for athletes, elite athletes, and you would be surprised that it's probably includes things that you wouldn't think that they are doing. I watched a really cool interview they had done with Kobe Bryant about mindfulness and meditation and how that turned the Lakers around when he was on the Lakers, so it was that long ago. A lot of them talk about these other cognitive behavioral therapies to get their mind in the right place. So anyway, how are we going to get you there too? Well, the experts agree that you need the headspace for maximizing your success includes these ingredients. So you need flexible thinking, you need to be pragmatic, self-aware, self-motivated, and have a positive outlook. All right, what do we mean here? Well, one thing that I thought was interesting is this is the graphic from our son's school. It's a middle school. It was his K-8 actually. And these are the habits of heart and mind that they ask the kids to have, and they try and have, in their school. But there's 4 of these, well, 3 of these for sure, and probably 4 that I think are essential for trading. So I thought this would be a fun way to look at them. One of them I think is agency, recognizing that when you have obstacles, you can leverage resources to navigate that. And to have agency, you have the ability to navigate what you're doing. This is something you're choosing, right? Okay, flexibility. Gosh, you definitely have to be willing to change your thinking, your attitude, your approach quite a bit with trading. Reflection, obviously, you've got to think back on what did I do right? What did I do wrong? What are the things here that I need to change? What's working? And empathy to the certain extent that you need to be empathetic with yourself and give yourself a break. And I'm going to talk about that differently in just a minute. When I started to think about this and think about some of our traders, I thought, some of them, I just really need to say for all of it, including myself when I'm doing trades, the buck stops here. I'm the one. This is an entrepreneurial endeavor, right, to trade. You're the one who's deciding what to trade. So it's not helpful if what you want to do is blame your strategy, blame a guru, blame the market, blame the political system, blame. The thing is, you have to take responsibility for the choices you're making. And part of your job is to assess all those things there. So know that you make your own decision. The other thing that I think is uber important, and we're going to talk about in a little bit, is to give yourself a break. Self-compassion or self-empathy is one of the most important things you can do in life. And all this research, there's nothing but positive results from self-compassion, giving yourself a break. Okay, I made a mistake, that didn't work. And why? Because then you can move on. You can't dwell on things. If you persevere, you're going to miss that next trade. There's time for reflection, but what I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about don't be hard on yourself. You have to just push that off the desk and move forward and let it go. Of course, you need to be able to, with the flexibility, you have to be prepared to change because the market changes. We have go to TradeInsight.com. There's a lot of free content if you scroll down, full presentations on market cyclicality and why certain things work at different times during the market, and know that kind of thing happens. And be flexible. And then, of course, set your goals for growth and reflection. So given that it comes down to you, let's talk about you. Okay, first of all, you're going to have to decide what to trade, right? So what do you need? And what style of trading is going to work for you? And then also you're going to need to set some goals and set sort of benchmarks for where you want to be. And so I have a couple fun ways to do that I'm developing, working with concepts that are already out there. But again, sort of trying to curate these things for trading that are going to make everything much more, centered, focused, aligned. One of the ways, again, that sort of to curate this idea, or rather to give you ideas on how to approach your psychology, is to talk about these 4 competency areas. And this really evolved from my working with people, from Adrian and I working with our traders and talking to them about what their challenges were. And eventually I came down to really there's 4 areas that I ended up calling tips. Technology, information, psychology, and strategy. And I show you this Venn diagram here because really everything fits inside of psychology. That's the biggest Venn. But there are at least three other areas, and psychology affects every one of those areas. But if someone tells me they're having trouble with their technology, I need to pull it apart a little bit and say, well, is it because you have fumbly fingers? Is it because you have software that's not good for you, that's not a good fit for you, or you haven't been able to negotiate how to work it? Is it because you don't have fast enough tech? So in any other ways, sometimes people have difficulty with strategies, but sometimes it's just they don't have the right information or the right technology. So if they can pull apart their challenges and sort of put them into these 4 boxes, 3 boxes inside of the big box, then you could really start to address those challenges and find a way to succeed, with them. And by these things, I mean, technology. I'm talking about your hardware. I'm talking about your software and your brokers. I'm also talking about, just general information about the markets with information specific to what you trade. Also entries, exits, do you know how to get in, how to get out, how to actually work that, and do you know why you would? And also just market specific news. We don't recommend that people use sort of the big cable news to actually get news about the market. There's market specific outlets. We use the Fly. There's other places, but there's a lot of infotainment out there, and the more bare bones you can get your information, probably the better, with the least amount of commentary and hype. Psychology, growth mindset, flexible thinking, we talked about that, being self-aware and focused, and also being positive and self-compassionate. That helps you with your patience. And of course, you need a strategy. I mean, almost everyone wants to talk strategy because you need that strategy. But we would hope with a strategy it's more than a one-trick pony, and that you follow the market cycles. And also, there's an idea here of psychological fit, whether you're a hunter or a trapper, your reward to risk ratio, your time in the market, are you okay with overnight trades? And also, your financial fit with risk, share size, the type of trade, for whatever the market you're in. One interesting concept that we were faced with is hunters and trappers. And someone said to Adrian, well, you know, you're a trapper. So he wrote an article on that. We have that. I could send that to you if you email me. But we didn't realize that at first. So this idea is some people set up a trade ahead of time and have ways to trap that trade if it comes to them. We used to grab that trade if it comes to them, but we're set up with our plan 100% ahead of time. And other people go out in the morning and look for trades, whether that's chasing momentum or looking at, you know, the blogs or the posts and all, and seeing what's going on. And we're much more inclined and much happier as trappers. It's pretty early in California. You know, like I said, I'm in Miami right now, but we live in Los Angeles area, and we are. It's early. It's 6:30 in the morning, so we have been naturally inclined. Adrian's strategies always include trapping things. There's trades we can set up and automate, and then even the trades that are more, what do I want to say, that are executed in real time. If things are going in the way we want them to, those rules are set up ahead of time. So let's say with the gap trade, we know exactly what we're looking for. We have software that looks for this specific statistical gap, and then we know where we're going to go with it once it hits. So even if it isn't mapped out from the night before, which most are, we know exactly what we're going to do in that trade. Okay, so there are a couple assessments we can do. One is the power of yet, and the other one is are you gritty? So there's a fast little psych thing we can do right now with the growth mindset. It was developed by Carol Dweck, who is a professor at Stanford, and she found that in doing studies with students that the most positive outcomes and the most successful outcomes for students wasn't necessarily that they were talented or that they were smart. It's that they believed they could. So let's try this. It'll be really fast, and you just have to say whether you agree or disagree, and you can just think about it in your head or just sort of, you know, pencil down on paper if you want. But the first one is, no matter how much intelligence you have, you can always change it a good deal, and just agree or disagree. Number 2, you can learn new things, but you cannot really change your basic level of intelligence. Number 3, I like my work best when it makes me think hard. I like my work best when I can do it really well without too much trouble. That's number 4. And number 5, I like my work best. I like work that I'll learn from even if I make a lot of mistakes. Agree or disagree? Number 6, I like my work best when I can do it perfectly without any mistakes. And then 7, when something is hard, it just makes me want to work more, not less. And finally, number 8, to tell the truth, when I work hard, it makes me feel as though I'm not very smart. Okay, so you can always scroll back and look at this later and take it again, but the odds are with you. So if you agreed to more odds than evens, then what you understand is you can increase your intelligence by learning, and you're not afraid of a challenge. You believe working hard is the best way to learn and are willing to make mistakes along the way. So even if you didn't write those down in any sort of order, this you can see is the idea from those questions. And the opposite of having a growth mindset then, of course, is a fixed mindset. So your fixed mindset avoids challenges, and your growth mindset embraces opportunities. Fixed, you're quitting easily, and if you have a growth, you're overcoming setbacks and you're pushing forward. If you have a fixed mindset, you believe your efforts are worthless, and if you are a growth, you master the task because you keep going through to get to the end. So you see where I'm headed here. A growth mindset, and the power of yet is you put yet at the end of the sentence. I don't understand this concept yet. I can't trade NASDAQ yet. I don't understand options yet, right? So you get that. So the cool part about your brain, in addition to you being able to change your mindset, your brain itself can reorganize and continually reorganizes to form new neural connections throughout. So I just want to, again, give you this idea that whatever you're thinking and however you're doing things, that creates neural network in your brain, and the more you do it, the stronger that gets. So if you are creating bad thoughts thoughts that aren't helpful for your trading, thoughts that aren't helpful to getting you to your successes and where you want to be, the more you think those thoughts, the stronger those get. The less you think those thoughts and the more you think others, that's where the new neural connections physically start to grow and connect and become faster. So it is very important what you think. And all this research on performance in athletes or dancers, elite performers, is all about changing these neurons as well. It is important how you think. It does matter, how you think about what you're doing and how positive and action-oriented and goal-oriented you are to get to those goals. Okay, I have another scale, and this one is a grit scale. And this is by Angela Duckworth, who is also a researcher and has done a lot of work, not just in schools, but also with all kinds of clients, including military and such. And I encourage you to go watch, the TED Talks that she has done about grit. The cool, interesting thing about it is, again, it's not about talent, or it's not just about talent. So grit, let's see how we can do this one. Here's what I'm going to do. It's on a Likert scale of not at all like me, not much like me, somewhat like me, mostly like me, and very much like me. So I would have to have you pause this and go through 1 through 10 and circle that, or of course you can go to her website and actually take it that way. The point being that the grittier you are, the higher you score, the more grit you have. And the questions are things such as, new ideas and projects sometimes distract me from previous ones. Setbacks don't discourage me. I don't give up easily. I often set a goal but later choose to pursue a different one. I'm a hard worker. I have difficulty maintaining my focus on project. Okay, so you can see how this is going to relate to trading, right? Again, how focused are you? How tenacious are you? I love these quotes about grit. So Angela Duckworth's equation is talent and effort equals skill. Talent times effort equals skill. Now you take skill times effort, and that's achievement. So the point being, effort counts twice. So the more effort you put into a thing, again, you can see that's where it dovetails into mindset. The more you can do a thing. It's not helpful to tell kids, for instance, that they're smart. It's helpful to tell them they're doing a good job working hard toward their goals, because that's what's going to actually get them motivated to do their goals. So think about grit when you're thinking about your trading. And then here's Neffs Self-Compassion Scale. Again, I don't have to go through this with you, because you can go to Kristen Neff and take the scale and understand that the more compassion and empathy you have for yourself, the better your trading is going to become. Why? Well, for one thing, it leads to decreased stress. So when you're critical of yourself, it activates your sympathetic nervous system and elevates your stress hormones. And the sting of self-criticism can keep us from learning and going forward. And that also goes back to this disappointment idea, right? What we want to do is regret it. We don't want to disappoint and be hard on ourselves. We want to just regret it so we can change it. Self-compassion, on the other hand, as it says here, may activate our biological nurturance and soothing system, which leads to greater feelings of well-being. So overall, you'll feel better if you say, well, I had a lousy day today and I made some bad decisions, and I'm not saying you should, you have to be happy about that. I'm saying you say, okay, it's okay, I'm going to be okay, and tomorrow is a new day, and let it go. So these are actually research outcomes for self-compassion. And when you have more self-compassion, people are happier, less stressed, and more resilient. And it is very important when you're trading to be more resilient. I can't tell you the number of times that we're talking with folks and telling them, not only do you have to give yourself a break, you really need to be able to do it immediately so you can push that trade off the desk, because research also shows that what you're going to do is not take the next trade. So if you allow one trade to get into your head and not be its own unique event, and then you need to go down some road of giving yourself a hard time or punishing yourself or worrying about it, you have to stop it, because then you're going to miss the next opportunity. And trading is nothing if it's not opportunity. Trading is all about finding opportunities and being able to capitalize on them. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about in thinking like an elite performer is performance psychology. There's a lot of work on perfect practice for improvement. It's not just practice. You're not just swinging a golf club every day. You are slightly changing that swing so that it is slightly improved each time. Because if you just go out and do the same thing each time, you're not getting anywhere, correct? So what the research is showing is that for perfect practice, here's what you need. You need a coach. You need to be outside of your comfort zone, just beyond your abilities, not too far beyond, but just there. You have to put in the effort, and you have to keep evolving the goals and improving. And it requires a full engagement, feedback from your coach, and then constantly improving. So to keep getting better and better at your tennis game or running or your performance of a Bach piece on, if you're a pianist, then what's going on here is you have to constantly be evaluating and moving forward. So I would say that's exactly what we need to do with our trading as well. If you have some motivational barriers, we're going to think about how you need to be passionate about what you're doing. And I don't think you're going to make it in trading if you're not passionate about it. You need to do it for a fixed time, clear of distractions. So this other idea, right, that we can only have focused attention for so long, and you need to figure out how you're going to bridge that gap. Whether it's you're not going to take trades during a certain point, after, I don't know, whatever your attention is going to be, 20 minutes, 40 minutes, or can you automate trades during that time so you can actually, give yourself some time. More and better sleep. I can't say enough about that. Practice, you've got to limit that practice to an hour at a sitting. So if you're doing things like a simulator, even if you're sort of paper trading or small share trading live as a practice, then limit it for sure. Make sure you're setting the goals. We talk about SMART goals so that you can see improvement. Surround yourself with like-minded people. That's why we love our mastermind group. All of us have different goals and different reasons for them, but they are all like-minded in the way they want to approach the market and their success. Surround with folks who believe in you. That's your support system at home. I can't tell you how many traders wash out because a spouse or adult children or parents of adult traders are not supportive and actively undermine what they are doing. It's very hard. You need them to believe in you, and you need to believe in yourself as well. Okay, real quick, here's some performance routines you can do from performance psychologists. This one is the 4 F's, and it's fudge, fix, forget, and focus. So the fudge is you have that initial negative reaction, right? Like, oh, I'm in this trade I don't want to be in. Fix it. This is talking about, being the athlete, but for me, if I'm in a trade I don't want to be in and I realize I got into it too early or what have you, I get right out. and then forget about it. This is what I'm saying. If you don't forget about it, you are not going to be able to, the next thing, focus on what's important right now. There's also routines you can do beforehand. Rest, recover, right, in between trading sessions, regroup, look and see what you've, looking at, check in with your emotions, figure out where your head is, and your body, refocus, get out of that past mistake. Get out of that past mistake and recharge. So how do we do that? What's the easiest way for us to have a clear vision going forward? So everything started with Adrian's started a trading plan that was based on the market cyclicality and has these patterns that he sees. These are named after baseball, but there's another version of this that is just the trading words, expansion of range and volume, that sort of thing. But he identified very specific patterns, and we have used these for 20 years in different ways, but not that many different ways. So some on the NASDAQ and some on the New York Stock Exchange, and maybe coming soon to you, futures, I'm not sure, but we'll see. But we can now have a very centered way of trading and going forward because we have a plan. So of course there are, he wrote a book about it, which makes it very clear to us. There are scans that are out there that we can do to get these trades, and there's the Income Trading Academy is part of this mastermind group that people learn how to identify these themselves. So they are, learning how to fish instead of, just giving them fish. So what does it look like? This particular plan. So this was last February in this example here. I had just pulled one, and this is my blotter from the plan that I mark up all the time. There are the top trades. There are these intraday swings that I'm talking about with the patterns. Down below the Baltimore chops, that's what we call our gap trade in the morning, and then these are the NASDAQ trades over here. That's what happened that day. This is what I do. I take notes on these. So just by way of example, here is NSA. And you can see it's the second one down. If you go over to under direction, it's in red, it says short. It has an entry price, a 50% target where we move our stop to break even, and then a target. I don't know of any other place out there that is going to consistently give you the night before something that they're going to tell you what to do the next day over 20 years and have that be successful. But that's where we are. So it's really wonderful, and if you want to check that out, then you'll email me and we'll do that. But this is psychology. So anyway, I have a plan. I'm calm going into it. You can see how it works. There's an entry. You get in and travels down to the 50%, goes down to the target. That's that first line on the left of that trading day, and boom, you're done. And you're out. And you can see I have a little smiley face next to it. That means that one worked. The other one I'll show you from this same plan, Sienna. That's down under the plan type called Stocks to Watch, and it had an entry. It was a long trade, and it got there in the morning. It went very slowly and sat there over most of the day, and then went up to target end of day. And here is TRTN. Again, it was a trade that went ahead right off the morning bell, then went higher and off to target. Okay, I'm going to leave you with two things that I'm really excited about. I'm sure you see them other places, but this is a way of setting goals. They do this for corporate entities and trainings, and also for at kids' schools and everything. It's a nice way of getting your goals. What do I want to say? Targeted, getting your goals that are relevant for you. So they're called SMART goals. First, it has to be specific. The goal is specific, so you define it as clearly as possible. It has to be measurable. So how are you going to measure success? Attainable. Is it relevant to what you, and then relevant is the next one, but is it attainable? Is it possible? Are you too pie in the sky? Relevant to your goals. Is it relevant to where you want to be? And then also, is it time bound? How much time are you going to give give to achieve that goal. So in trading, that might be, well, so for my new course that I'm doing, there's going to be a grid where you do a SMART goal for your brain, your body, your mind, your trading, and maybe you can add on something for personal there. But so SMART goal. So for my trading, it might be what's your goal? I'm going to learn a new entry order technique. Okay, how will you measure your success? I'll measure it by how many times I can get this bracket order, for instance, this bracket order set up the way I want and have it execute the way I want it to walk. Is it achievable? Yes. It's something I can learn, and it's not too much. It's not a giant goal, right? It's specific enough. Is it relevant? Obviously, to trade, you need different entry orders, ways to get in the trades. And how long will it take you to complete your goal? That's probably something that you can set. Is it 1 week? Is it 2 weeks? How much time do you have for it? And that's where you can think about it. And also, there is a coaching model that was used first with McKinsey, and it's also very popular and again out there. But I bring it in here because I think it's also a really good way to think about these different, coach yourself into getting further along in your path on anything really, but certainly in trading. If you orient it toward that, you take that SMART goal, and then you say, okay, what's my reality? Okay, I want to learn this new entry order. Okay, what's my reality? Well, I've got 2 presentations this week, and I've got to work this many hours. Okay, and then what are my options? Well, I could clear out this time. What are my challenges? Well, I can't clear out that time. Okay, what's my way forward? And then you find a way to get to your goal, but it's a good way of looking at it overall for learning things, for moving forward, for developing a plan to keep evolving and getting your trading more like a professional athlete, right? Keep evolving. There is also cognitive behavioral therapy. We talked about how your board of directors in your head can mess you up, and this is a therapy where they want you to understand that all these things go together. How you think affects how you behave or act, which affects how you feel. It's a triangle that goes around and around and around. And to sort of get to the bottom of that, what you can do is set up one of these cognitive journals and think about the activating event. Oh, I missed a trade. Okay, what was your initial thought? I'm no good at this. And then what does it, so that you write all that down. And then beliefs. Well, what's your source of your negative belief about that? And because you had that belief, then it goes on to the consequence. What did you do? I didn't trade anymore. I closed the computer, or I traded more and I lost money, or that sort of thing. And then they want you to challenge your thinking and create alternative thinking, a positive belief, and an action plan and improvement. So you have a negative thought, and again, just because you think it doesn't make it real, then the idea is you go ahead and challenge that. Oh, you say I'm telling myself I'm no good at trading. Well, what about these 5 trades that I recorded yesterday or over the past week, let's say, that I did a great job and I executed them perfectly? So challenge your negative thoughts or your whatever piece of your challenge or your head is challenging you and trying to trick you into believing this isn't going to work for you, or get you off your path to being the best trader that you can possibly be. So anyway, I hope that you have enjoyed this talk about trading and psychology. I hope this has been something that is interesting to you. You can barely scratch the surface. I just really wanted to try and give you all a good, concise, sort of bunch of ideas to think about in different ways, and turn it over and look at your trading and how you're reacting to your trading in various ways, so you can approach it in different ways and try and play with it and see, where is my psychology now? Understand you can change, and you can change, and everything can keep evolving, and giving you a few ideas on how you could keep that going. And If you're interested in more, we have very specific trading assessments that you can access on our website, TradeOutLoud.com/challenge. There's nothing to buy. Actually, you just give me data. There's nothing that actually specifies or can lead back to you in terms of collecting this data. But the more traders that take this challenge, the more we have some data to work with to say this is where people fall into the categories of people who are interested in trading. This is how they fall into these categories. So there are a couple assessments there. You'll get immediate feedback on those assessments, and they are related directly to trading. I thank you for attending. If you want to email me, it's julie@traderinsight.com, and I hope you have a great day.